so I'm Matt. This is the one and only Ethan.
And I'm Gina.
So we had our house actually listed for about 3 to 4 months prior to finding you guys. We actually heard about you through a showing that another agent was doing, and what we really were surprised about was that he actually followed up. So the agent was selling a house, we were interested, we were looking at it, and he actually called us back, which no one else had done, right? And he followed up multiple times, like 2-3 times, and it wasn't like he was like, you know how sometimes you get follow-up calls and you're like, this is getting, it wasn't like that. It was just kind of like, hey, how's it going? Just wanted to check in with you. It was a very pleasant experience. So, you know, after we tried selling for 3 to 4 months, that kind of left an impression on us. So when it came time to choosing someone else, we were kind of jaded by the whole first experience, but when it came time to choosing someone, that kind of stuck with us, and that's why we went with you guys. Yeah, so I mean, you had pretty awesome marketing in terms of the videography and photography was top notch, right? And we knew it was really important for our specific property as well too, because we had some unique aspects where like the drone videography came in handy as well. What would you say?
I think the other thing is after our first experience, we definitely interviewed a lot more agents and agencies the second time around. We were much more diligent and did our homework. And I think it's one of the only agencies that didn't talk to us like we didn't understand what was going on. And they actually respected more like we had experience, we know what we wanted, and they worked with it versus just kind of telling us this is how it's done. So
for example, like both of us are in digital marketing. So we know all the terms, we know all the stuff. And we kind of get a feel for if someone's trying to sell you on something and you're already well versed in it, you know if they're, you know, being upfront or they're not. And just some of the experience we had with other people were just like, oh, come on, right? And with Nina, she was great. I mean, she was right off the bat, told us, you know, what they'd be doing, the process, and we just felt comfortable with her, like just very comfortable. And there was no over-the-top salesy stuff. It was just like, you know, this is what I think I can do for you guys, you know, take it or leave it type thing, which we totally respected. Going through like a rough experience previously definitely made us jaded to the whole process. So, you know, hearing, and obviously there's promises that are made. So I guess in the back of my mind, you know, you're basically entrusting someone with your whole financial future, and you've only met them once or twice. So it's a huge decision to make. So, you know, it's my biggest fear was just making sure that, you know, all the promises that were made would be kept, and they were. And what I really appreciated with your team is that everything's very systematic and organized. So as soon as, you know, Nina said this will happen on this date, then we got follow-ups from Faye, and Faye was like, okay, you're on board. Here's 1, 2, 3, and you know, she outlined the steps, and we didn't feel like we were wondering or left hanging of what, you know, when's the sign coming up, when's this person coming, and that sort of thing. Everything was communicated really well right off the bat, so it felt really well organized.
Awesome.
Yeah, just to add to that, I would say that you hear so many promises, and obviously we had the experience where none of those promises were delivered, where this time, like right from the start, everything we were told actually happened and it was actually delivered, and it just made you feel more comfortable that when someone said they're going to do something, they did it every single time, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, some people actually do what they're going to say. Okay, that's not everyone's so bad.
And it was 10 times harder to trust someone after being jaded from what we experienced previously. So I really appreciate how Nina, I don't know what Nina did, but like it was just kind of like, okay, you know, let's go forward with it. So So with the first experience, we were so embarrassed about what they came up with in terms of a flyer that I actually just designed my own, because I just couldn't, I was embarrassed to have my house address on this piece of paper, right? So we're not graphic designers by any means, but like because we're in digital marketing, we know Photoshop, Illustrator, that sort of stuff. So we did our own flyer for it, which was great. Now, with you guys, the photography was tenfold better than what we had before. The video, I don't even think we had a proper video.
We didn't get the video.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it makes a big difference. It makes it, like, that's basically the entry gateway to get people into the house, right? So if the video is not great, if the photos don't pop, then people are just gonna skim. There's a lot of listings. So I really appreciate how you took the time to like make it right. I really appreciate as well being able to work with you. So it wasn't just like, oh, what I know is best, let me do it. It was like, okay, Matt, you know, what do you want? Like, what do you think is important? It's your house. You know it better than anyone else. So what can I do to just, you know, enhance that? Also working with your graphic designer too. Like we were able to use some elements that I previously designed into the new flyer. So yeah, I was a happy camper when it came to all the marketing stuff that you guys did.
So I can say that, you know, when you do finally get like that offer and stuff like that, you're like, what do I do? What do I do? And I will say, like, Nina was great, like being on our side.
Yeah.
You could tell she wasn't just trying to just get it sold so she'd be like done, move on. She was like, no, we're going for it. And she stood up for us and made sure like we got what we needed and not just doing whatever it took just to get it sold. She made sure that our best interest was first before we moved forward with it, which was nice. That because we were just like,
almost, because you just assume, you know, when you're on commission. I used to work a commission job as well too, and you know, you do what it is to get the sale. Nina was more like, you know, what's in the best interest of my clients, and like, you know what, that amount or whatever it is, she's like, no, we're not. You know, she would tell us what we should be doing, and it actually worked out really good. Yeah. Yeah, the actual sale, well, I mean, it's just, I think, the nature of the market. Like, you have to go into, when it's a market like this, where it's a buyer's market, like, you have to go into it knowing there's going to be ups and downs. So, like, there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of unknowns and, like, you know, sleepless nights, so to speak, to just see if something would go through. But I feel like that's more of a nature of the market itself than anything you guys can do. But Nina, I feel, steered us in the right direction, and she had our best interests at heart the whole time.
I was just going to add towards the marketing, like the staging also made a very big difference. Like coming in, taking a look at our house and just doing minor improvements. Yeah. And then the other thing is just the more accuracy in the photos and the marketing meant we got much more qualified visits. So instead of having 40 people come to our house in a week, we had a lot less, but everyone who came was qualified. They understood the layout and they weren't coming into almost like thinking it's something and it's not. So that was super important with the way our house is, that everyone who came, they understood the house before they came versus like just showing up and being like, oh, this is what I thought it was, and walk out.
Yeah, and it's such a I mean, the biggest hassle when you're selling the house is that, yeah, you get visits. Visits are great, but when you start getting like 10, 20, 30 visits and they're only there for like 2-3 minutes, then to me it's a reflection of the agency. You know, and that's what we experienced with the previous agency. But with you guys, yeah, the people that came, you know, they'd stay. Like, and we were shocked. Like, one of the first showings, they were here for like 30, 40 minutes. Yeah, 100%. So we'd recommend you guys. And not only am I saying I'd recommend you, I've already done it already. So Nina's on to her next sale within the family, and 100% would recommend you guys.